Greetings, GameCola faithful, and welcome to the GameCola Podcast. This is podcast number 138, feeling great. That's a lie. I'm sick and dying.
Ooh, getting us rid of the real feelings here.
I'm your host of Podcast Commander, Joseph Martin, joined by...
Hi, I'm Anna Bryniarski, and I am also dying.
I'm Alex the Jeddy Jedraszczak. I'm a little concerned to be on this podcast with all these sick people.
And I'm John Rizzi, and I am currently plotting how I'm going to take over GameCola once these two pass away.
Jeddy, you do know that Jeddy's at the top, right? Like, I'm not gonna...
Yeah,
there's not really any other hierarchy after that, but Jeddy is at the top.
Yeah, but his two bodyguards will be gone. I just have to
his takeover.
Oh, I see.
Right.
It'll be easier. You'll have less competition.
You gotta play chess sometime. Strategize.
Yes, I apologize if I sound like stuffy and stuff. I'm actually not sick anymore. I was sick a few days ago. I was sick. I had the 24-hour flu, but I'm better now. But now my body is expelling all of the flu stuff, and so it makes my voice and nose terrible. But yeah, hey, you guys remember video games?
Video games?
Yeah, there's a whole podcast about it called the GameCola Podcast, the GCPC episode 138, feeling great. Let's talk about... So, okay, I know it's on everyone's mind, right? Pokemon. Pokemon.
Gotta catch them all.
Gotta catch them all, gotta catch them all.
I wanna be the very worst. Wait, that's not
Before we get to that, I want to talk about something that Pokemon spurred in at least 50% of this podcast. And that is a real-life physical trip to the business establishment known as GameStop.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Anna, I know you went to GameStop to get Pokemon, right?
Yes.
And then, I don't know, not to get Pokemon maybe, but have you guys been to a GameStop? Rephrase the question. When was the last time you went to a GameStop?
A couple weeks ago.
Whenever
Trying to get a job.
Dragon Quest came out. A month and something ago.
See, I haven't... before today, I don't think I had been to GameStop in at least 5 years.
Oh
Really?
my god.
Maybe more.
Wow.
I'd go at least once a month.
So before I got this Switch, I hadn't been in so long that I had to remember my parents' phone number.
Oh, wow.
Because that tells you the last time that I had been to a GameStop before that.
I just didn't even bother. Because I know, I get emails from them, so I know there's something related to me in there, but I didn't want to try to figure it out. I just wanted my 2 video games to leave. I got Luigi's Mansion and Pokémon Shield, which I have not had a chance to play. I just purchased them. Luigi's Mansion 3 and Pokémon Shield, so I will talk about them later. You'll probably hear me talk about it on the podcast, but we'll talk about Pokemon in general, but Luigi's Mansion may have to wait a bit. But yeah, what was funny is I arrived in the parking lot, and then as soon as I did, a guy showed up with a ponytail, a beard, and a half-finished bottle of Mountain Dew. And I was just like, yep, I'm in the right place. I found it. This is GameStop, all right.
That was the spirit of GameStop.
Wow.
I like how it was Mountain Dew and not bourbon or something like that.
It was, yeah. He was the cashier, and he was very nice. I want to preface that.
Wow.
He was a cool
an important
dude.
Detail.
But it was just so on brand.
Yeah.
I have actually had a lot of good experiences with the cashiers at GameStops.
Oh, yeah, same.
I think it's better now. I remember when I was younger, back when I went to GameStop more regularly, that they were a lot more pushy about rewards stuff.
Yeah.
And deals like that, and it was just I just didn't like it. I didn't like having that pressure put on me. I just wanted to go in, get a thing of plastic with the video game in it and leave.
Yeah.
There's no self-checkout like the grocery store.
Otherwise.
But yeah, it was funny. They were talking about Pokemon and Luigi's Mansion when I went in there, so it seems like those two games are hot tickets because those were the games that people were talking about in there. The guy in front of me bought Pokemon Shield, and then I also ran into him in the grocery store. That was weird.
Boy.
We just both did that thing of looking at each other and nodding yep, we've seen each other before today. If I had a nickel for every time I've met this person today, I'd have 2 nickels.
Wow.
Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Yeah.
You're leaving out the part where he came up to you and whispered in your ear, "Gotta catch 'em all."
I stole that quote from Phineas and Ferb, by the way, in case anyone wants to try to call me out. I also had the awkward moment of, I went to the, you have all the games on the side, right?
Yes.
On the shelves, right? Where you put your merchandise.
Yes.
So I went there, and none of them were actual video games. It was all display copies.
That they do that at most.
Yeah, you bring them up,
GameStops.
and then they pull you a fresh copy from their drawers and whatnot.
Yeah, so you don't just run out of the store with it.
I guess it makes sense, but it just feels weird that they're all there. It's as if they are physical copies, right? Because it has the containers as if they're real.
Yeah, I remember, in the 90s going to Toys R Us and picking up the cardboard sheet that you bring up to the front.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Toys R Us did that.
Because that's
the
the thing.
time.
If they were little, vouchers or something, then I would have seen oh, okay. And I would have just walked up to the counter and said, hey, could I get Luigi's Mansion 3 and Pokemon Shield? But I thought that they were real video games, so I'll walk over there, and now I'm just standing there well, now do I just leave? They're gonna know that I walked over here, didn't do anything, and then came to the counter. And I couldn't think of anything to do to make it seem like what I did was intentional.
I think you were overthinking it.
No, you
Are you
absolutely
sure
were.
about that?
However,
Let's consider further. Did I overthink this situation?
Absolutely.
Here are the factors.
Yes.
But so that was my GameStop experience.
GameStop, we tend to go a lot because we go to the mall a bit, here and there. Back in Cam's hometown, we would go, and he and the manager there would talk for a literal hour, and I would wander the store twice. Just be yep, looking at video games. Still, yep, alright, still looking at video games.
I remember when Majora's Mask 3D came out, and I had to go to 3 different GameStops because none of them had a fresh copy. They were all sold out.
Yeah, I would have bet that Pokemon probably would have been in short order originally too at my GameStop, but it's been a while since the game came out, so I bet they had time to get some more if they sold out.
I was actually thinking they'd run out when I went, because I went the day it came out, but that really wasn't the case, and they actually already had a used copy the day that it came out.
I wonder how the fact that there are 2 of the actual video game, right? There's Sword and Shield. I wonder how much that factors into the situation.
Yeah.
Obviously, I would imagine that they don't buy, their standard, imagine Super Mario Odyssey, right? You buy a certain amount of copies of Super Mario Odyssey. I would not think that they would buy that many copies, or, bring in, however you want to call it, that many copies of both Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they'd exactly split Odyssey in half. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Would they buy slightly more, or I guess slightly less, 2 groups of 75% of Mario Odyssey's copies? Because you don't know. Because what we were talking about before is that it seemed like a lot more people were getting Shield than Sword. At least in our social circles.
Which is really weird because I think with normally Pokemon games, people would normally get the one that's first. When Pokemon X and Y came out, most people bought X because that one came first when you talked about them.
My understanding is that for most people, it is related to the Pokemon contained within the actual video game.
Yeah, I think this one more so than previous ones. Shield has a lot more Pokemon that people care about, notably Ponyta.
Yep. I told my sister she needs to catch 2 of them and give one to me. She doesn't have the game yet, but she knows now.
Christina has been like, she spent like a whole day doing nothing but raising eggs and then like trading them to people.
So that was my adventure in GameStop. I don't know if anybody has any other GameStop adventure stories.
There's one across the street from me, and it's the size of a matchbox.
Yeah, the one in the mall closer to my hometown is very, very small, and that's where I ended up getting Let's Go Pikachu last year, and it was so crowded that people were actually, had to wait outside the door and be ushered in by an employee once there was enough room for them.
I think ours is, I think ours is probably just bigger because it's its own building, and it was probably repurposed from a different establishment whenever it was originally founded. They also have the clock that's in our area. Like, you know, when you're driving along and there's like a clock that's just like on a post, a digital clock. Yeah. And it tells you what the time is and what the temperature is.
Yeah, like, was it a bank?
I don't know. I don't even know. Does GameStop take care of this clock? If so, they're not doing a very good job. It's often wrong. It didn't get updated for daylight saving.
Oh dear.
I know that. No, well, not for a while at least.
But somebody has to be running it though, like paying attention to it, because otherwise people driving by, they're not going to be like, I'm going to call the owner of that clock and tell them they need to update their clock. Because, who are they going to tell?
Hey, I'm a citizen.
Do you go up to the GameStop cashier and be like, hey, change that clock?
And cashier. the pole is on GameStop's property. Like, it's in their parking lot.
I believe
there's nothing else there.
I believe it's whoever owns the shopping center it's in.
Oh, yeah. That would make sense.
I guess the shopping center is really spread out, though. Like, it's not like a long row. It's like several individual buildings. I think just because it's a college town. Everything's sort of repurposed. Anyway,
GameStop exists.
Let's get to the main attraction, because as we have mentioned before, the new Pokemon games Sword and Shield came out. Which is mean that everybody is finally trying to figure out which way you should call the games together, right? Heart Gold and Soul Silver were haggis.
Swish is the one.
Yeah, Swish. I've gotten swoosh a lot. Like, people will put 2 O's in there. Like, usually it's SWSH, which I think you would say swish. I've seen people type out swoosh before. But I feel like I like swish better, just SWSH, and calling it swish.
We also have to consider what the third one would be called if they ever decide to bring those back.
I think if there's going to be sequels, it's going to be Sword 2 and Shield 2. I think that's what they've decided that they're doing from now on. Right? Black 2 and White 2. XY, I don't think got sequels, did it?
Bring back Yellow, bring back Platinum.
It didn't get Z.
Pokemon
Which
Gun.
I think was their original plan, and then they moved on. And then you got Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. So maybe Ultra Sword and Ultra Sword and Ultra Shield or something like that. But I don't think we're going to have one
Big Sword and Big Shield in because of the
Pokemon
Dynamax.
Pistol, Pokemon Machine Gun.
I think it will also, though, the best way to try to figure it out would be to try to figure out what the third legendary is, right? Because it has to be, the sequel has to focus on a different legendary Pokemon than the first two. And I don't want to talk about spoilers yet. So I imagine there's probably a third some candidate for it. But it's been different throughout all the games. Like, sometimes it's something very prominent, and then sometimes it's something sort of off to the side in the original games, right? Like, Rayquaza was its own little side thing in Ruby and Sapphire. Like, you just go to the tower where Rayquaza is, and he's just there, and you fight him, and then you catch him, and there's no real story behind it. And then with Black 2 and White 2, you have Curem, I think is how you say it.
Yeah.
And it's just in a snow place in those games. And then later it's relevant to the plot. But in the beginning, it's just an ice dragon in a snow place. So I guess we'll see. But let's talk to the two people who have actually played the video game in question.
The only two people in the world who have ever played.
No one else has played it. It is just us.
So, what do you guys think about the video game Pokémon Shield? Since that's the one that you have.
I like video games.
Pretty cool.
Wait, did you get Sword, Anna?
I got Sword, yes.
Okay, I keep forgetting. Anna got Sword, Jeddy got Shield.
I got Sword because I like swords. I don't know.
A good reason as any.
We got Shield because it has the better Pokemon, and we pre-ordered it on the Pokemon website, Pokemon.com.
Pokemon.gov.
It's a riveting story.
And the thing was when you order it there, I feel like there's some name for it that I'm forgetting, that it's just like the Pokemon store or something. But the point is, they gave us a, they call it like a keychain plush, but it's actually kind of huge to like have on your keychain. It was surprisingly big, which
like
I'm not,
how, like how big?
Hold on. It's like
he's gonna
bigger
show
than
us
my hand. Like the thing is that I have a bunch of like, keychain plushes from Japan that I got when I went that are like, they'll fit in your palm. And that's pretty big. I consider that pretty big for a keychain plush. And this thing is like 3 times the size of any of those. Like it's significant. And the plan was we were going to get the starter of whichever plush we got with the order. So we ended up with Score Bunny. We were hoping for Sobble, but I guess I'm glad that we didn't get Grookey, because I kind of don't like any of the stuff that it turns into. But oh man, that I posted it in the chat, the like screaming child that is Raboot.
Yep.
Although at the same time, when I saw Sobble's middle evolution, I was like, oh man, we missed out. I would have been just as pleased if I could have had
the two of them, their middle evolution looks like 2 angsty teenagers, and then Grookey just gets 2 sticks.
Yeah, like I don't know why Grookey doesn't get to be this like, we're hanging out at 7-Eleven after school. Like
Grookey didn't get invited, so they went to martial arts practice.
Yeah, like,
and then picked up 2 sticks on the way home and started fighting with them.
Grookey spent all time playing what is it? Taiko Master or whatever at the arcade.
The drum rhythm game?
Yeah. Taiko Tetsujin or something.
Something like that.
While you were busy hanging out at 7-Eleven, I studied the stick.
So there are some things that I do like about the game. I like the focus on dressing up. I like, buying the clothes and then making your card. And
yes,
I kept telling Christina, I want to have my character facing away. I want to have it like completely turned around, because it lets you at a weird like it's like 45 degrees towards or away. Like you can turn it, there's 180 degrees of motion, but it's like tilted 45 degrees towards the camera.
So the center is 45 degrees.
Yeah, so you can't turn it, you can't spin it completely around, but you can have them pretty much facing away. And she wouldn't let me, like put the character down in the corner.
No.
Or anything.
So here's a question that I have. I'm curious, is like, you know how on the Switch you can make like different profiles, quote unquote?
Yeah.
Can you use that to get multiple save files?
I'm assuming. I haven't tried it, but
sure.
Part of the thing is, I only have one account that's actually online.
Right.
So it would be kind of a waste to make one that I then can't share the cards with everybody.
Right, I see what you're saying.
I have been slightly concerned, because I didn't think about it in terms of like, oh, this is going to be online, that we named the character GameCola.net.
Like, how is it spelled?
Like the website, GameCola.net.
Okay, like the actual URL.
Yeah, and I didn't think about
is your honorific HTTPS?
Like, I don't want to get banned or something by, Nintendo or Game Freak or whatever for like the purpose wasn't initially, oh, we're going to advertise the website like within the game. It was just like, oh, we're going to be playing on stream, so let's name it that. But I didn't have the thought that like, oh, right, when we trade with people or give them our card or whatever, it's going to be there.
Oh boy, yeah.
And I don't know how that's taken by Game Freak.
I mean, it's not like it's a bad website. It's a good website.
We're good.
None of the not safe for work posts are on the front. Well, actually, no, that's not
true. That's incorrect.
They're on the little scroll wheel at the top because people really want to know about not safe for work NES games.
Actually, I did manually remove, like, block certain ones from the thing, but we still get a few that are in that borderline.
Yeah.
But I do like the wilds areas in Pokemon. It's kind of a cool new introduction that, like, instead of basically just having this straight line through from the beginning to the end that you're just doing these battles, you can also do some exploration. And while you're doing this exploration, you can go get free stuff from other people.
Like real other people.
Yep, they're all walking around, riding their bikes around.
And it's not like just your friends, right? Like it's
anybody. Like it's fairly anonymous. Like you can't like find people. You just kind of like see them running around, and like I'm gonna assume it's not like 100% of everybody, but.
That's all the people that are playing Pokemon Sword and Shield right now, Jeddy.
Yeah, like
all of them. You saw them.
I wonder, but like if you walk up,
can't you set it up so that you can like do things with your friends specifically?
I imagine you could, but I mean, I don't have any friends, so.
Jeddy, I'm hurt.
Friends.
Just because I haven't started playing the video game yet doesn't mean I'm not still your friend.
Oh, that's a good point. Like, I guess I was just thinking about like if people were local, like if they had their Switch.
I think you can do it online because it's the whole raid battles thing. I feel like though there was a point where like where you fight the big giant Pokemon.
Yeah, where the Pokemon get big. Yeah, no.
We'll get to that. That's what they should replace Dynamax just in one word where the Pokemon get big.
It big.
They get big.
Like, I thought I was going to think it was stupid, and in a way I still do, but I just really enjoy seeing them get so big.
Okay, so when I did the Dynamax for Pikachu, I took a picture immediately because he is a chonk.
Yeah.
And I love it.
It's like based on the original sprite, I think.
And I'm just like, oh, yes.
Which, what is the in-canon explanation for that? I don't understand. I think it's just a funny joke.
I don't remember.
So if you don't know, there's Dynamax is the new mechanic in Pokemon Sword and Shield where the Pokemon get real big for 3 turns, right?
Yeah, 3 turns.
And they have double HP, and their moves are stronger and have, like, extra effects. Some Pokemon have, like, special forms that they get when you do Dynamax on them. Pikachu is one of them. Pikachu gets a 3D model that looks like the original Gen 1 sprite, and also the tail glows real bright. But some of them just get big.
Yeah.
I don't remember who sent me this, but it was a video of Dynamax, I think... I don't remember which one. It might have been like the Scorbunny evolution. And then just normal Sobble taking them out in one hit.
Yeah, I think it was something like that.
And it was I
think there was also like a cut scene with it where like the character was like, "All right, I see what you've got, but now what do you think about this?" And then it does like this whole elaborate, like a special cut scene for that character doing the Dynamax with their Pokemon. And then the person just uses like bubble and it just dies immediately.
There's, this isn't your rival, but it is one of the other gym challengers that I hate. I hate them so much. And I've only faced them once. I'm not very far in the game. I just got the water.
Which one is this?
Badge. Bead, I think is
Okay.
their name. I hate
Or
them.
maybe Bede.
Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah.
I hate them so much.
I always thought it was Bede just because Japanese, right? But I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, yeah, I hate
haven't
them.
bothered looking it up.
Because, like, I'm just trying to have a good time, catch Pokemon, and I guess get some gym badges, even though my only real goal is to be here hanging out with Pokemon. But, this jerk comes out of nowhere and is like, I'm better than you, fight me. And I'm like, what? No! I don't want to. And now I'm in a cave and I haven't picked up the game in a few days because I really just don't want to deal with them. I'm like, ugh, I just wanted to catch some water Pokemon. Please don't make me fight you. They use psychic Pokemon and it sucks.
I think there's like 3 quote unquote, like there's the main rival, but there's 3 people who sort of fill that slot.
Yeah.
And there's like a spectrum of it. I don't want to get into spoilers, but there's like one who's like, I think Bede or whatever, Bede, is like the grumpy one.
This sounds like
The one
Animal
that-
Crossing villager description.
The one that doesn't like you and wants to actually beat you up, but Pokemon's the closest thing that they have to that.
They can't
the
take
one
me in a
who's
real
just
fight.
like too happy about everything. Like
I see you already
everything
know
is
about...
great. And also they're terrible at Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hop is good. Hop is good. They're precious. He's
I
precious.
think it's also funny that previously it was also a person with a 3-letter name that started with H.
Yup.
'Cause Hop sounds basically like How.
Yeah. No, I've heard that a lot lately.
Um,
Because Cam just got Sun.
in terms of the energy that they both bring. Where they're both very energetic and also terrible at Pokemon.
I did like that in this one,
Good energy.
your
good
rival
energy.
picks the weak Pokemon against
Yes.
yours. I don't know if that's happened in previous Pokemon.
And then the third rival is like the one that's associated with like the plot, basically. And those are like the 3 categories of rivals that Pokemon has had, and now they just put them all in one video game. Whereas usually like one rival fills like 1 or 2 of those roles, and maybe you'll have 1 or 2 rivals. Except in X and Y, where you had 5 rivals, and none of them had a chance to have any personality.
There was every personality. I don't know what you're talking about.
The main rival, I think, in X and Y, literally did not have a personality except losing at Pokemon to you. Like, that was the only thing they ever did. No one's disagreeing with me.
I've played Pokemon. Oh,
It's been
right.
so
Yes.
long since I
I'm not-
played that one.
What other opinions about this video game do you have?
Have you seen the Meowth?
There's several now. There's 4 different Meowth.
Why does it look so weird?
Why
Which
is it got a
one, Jeddy?
beard?
The one from this one.
Why you got a beard?
There's 2 of those!
What?
There's the Gigantamax one, and then
Oh,
there's
right.
like the regional variant.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about what is this? Galarian?
Mm-hmm.
Meowth and the Berserker.
I haven't seen Berserker. I've seen the Galarian Meow.
Yeah, like he gets like a helmet, like like he's a Viking.
Why?
Yeah, I haven't seen all of the new ones. I've heard a lot of descriptions though, which is really fun. Like I'm getting Sobble. I have no idea. Well, I don't want to say that. I have not seen Sobble's final evolution.
I'm not.
I have heard many things about Sobble's final evolution. And I'm kind of excited because it's either going to be amazing or terrible based on what I've heard.
I prefer its middle version.
At this point, the picture I have in my head is a very sharp blue Gex. From the video game that Gex is in. I don't know what it's called.
I believe it's called Gex.
I think it's just called Gex, where he's the secret agent gecko guy. A very sharp blue Gex. How accurate is that?
You're not wrong.
At some point, I want to draw the image that I have in my head of this before I see the actual version of it. Just because I've only heard things. I've ended up seeing everything else though, just because it's been like a while since the game came out. Any other opinions or thoughts?
I like that they kept... I don't know if they did this in Sun or Sun and Moon, because I didn't really play it. I have it, I just didn't play it. But, in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, they kind of show the Pokemon in the tall grass.
Yeah,
as opposed to just...
Yeah, that was new in Let's Go.
I thought so. I loved that, and I'm really glad they put it in this one again. And I'm really glad they don't have the same catching mechanic as they did in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, because I didn't like that at all. And when I told my sister that they got rid of that today, she went, "Oh, thank God."
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be keeping that one around because it was kind of a disaster. But the thing I keep hearing about is people being like, oh, you know, there's all these jokes about how, like, you're just running through the wild and, like, catching unsuspecting Pokemon. But in this game, it shows you that the fiction that they were trying to portray is, these Pokemon are after you.
Yeah.
They want to beat you up. I
cannot get away from any Electrics. They will fucking hunt me down. They're ready to kill me.
The one that I hear was the most funny is when it's Sock, because Sock is just like a guy. Sock is just like a blue man in a karate form, and he just starts chasing you.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I'm so excited. No, yeah, I see like a Meowth coming at me. I'm like, oh god, run.
Yeah.
Am I prepared for a fight? Nope, gotta go. What's the other one? It's like the pink bear one. Like the first evolution of that one. That one
first evolution of Beware.
Scary. Yeah. I don't like that one.
I would imagine Beware would be even scarier.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But yeah, I think it makes sense. It's sort of like getting away from how I think, and again, how a lot of RPGs are trying to get away from that style of random encounter.
Yeah.
Like, it's one that worked with the conventions of the original. Like, originally, right, you couldn't have enemies physically out there. So having these tiles where it would start an encounter randomly based on, you know, calculating a chance every time you took a step on a tile was like a hardware limitation.
Yeah.
And then even after we passed that, arguably with the Super Nintendo, because we all played Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
And Earthbound,
Final
right?
Fantasy,
I played Quest. Earthbound, yes.
But we still kept that convention for a really long time.
Yeah.
Not even just in Pokemon.
No, and a lot of different things.
Yeah, and I feel like it's only recently that we've sort of gotten to a collective point where we're all like, you know what? This isn't good. Nobody really likes this.
Everyone's getting real mad.
Like, this way, I think it's just better. Because again, like, even if you can't avoid it, right? Because there are certain times, like you're saying, like, sometimes it just feels like you can't really do anything about it. But it still feels like there's something you can do, right?
There's the illusion of control.
Yeah, there's the illusion of control. And that's enough. Video games are all illusion anyway. It's just a bunch of colored pixels that you're pretending is real already.
What's a little more illusion?
Hey, stop breaking the illusion for me.
Sorry.
Never.
Speaking.
Video games aren't real, John.
I'm sorry to tell you this, John. I'm sorry you had to find out this way.
Speaking of pixels.
Is it the movie Pixels?
No, it's the hero we need who removed the unsightly pixel from Chrono Trigger.
Okay.
Are you guys seeing the
Yes, I see
the pixel?
It's an entire hack dedicated to removing that one pixel.
To remove one pixel.
That one pixel. God, the hero not the hero we deserve, but the hero we need.
I can't put this in the podcast.
The one pixel.
There's no way for me to represent this in the podcast, Jeddy. You understand?
So in the beginning of Chrono Trigger, on the world map, there's like...
Jeddy, this is terrible audio.
There's all the houses around you that you can see on the map, and in the lower right, there's a single brown pixel. And they fixed it. There was
now I have to put it in because you'll get mad at me.
Hold on. There was I also have this one.
Jeddy, don't send another picture.
Fix misplaced pixel in logo. This patch.
I'm glad I can rest easy now.
Between the O and the W.
Anna, do you have any more opinions about Pokemon that we can talk about in an audio podcast with words?
Since I'm so, like, not far in the game at all, I don't have too much to say about it other than I really like everything about it so far. I just don't like psychic Pokemon jerk face at all. Which is, I'm sure, the point. However, I'm still just unnecessarily angry about this fake child that keeps trying to fight me.
I guess we could talk about a little bit. There was that news story. I think I said snooze story. Yeah. This news story. There was the issue where people were concerned about the game losing your save data and crashing and deleting all of your data. That was the thing that happened. Everybody remember that? That's kind of just blown over, hasn't it?
Happen to you?
It never happened to me, so
what it was, I figured out eventually, because it was kind of like the day of, there was like popping up in certain places, but it didn't really make it big, I think because it wasn't super common. But basically, if the video game crashed while you were saving, which could also happen while you were auto-saving, then there was an issue with the way that Nintendo had does their implementation of certain format of SD card, which has been a universal issue.
Yeah.
And then it is compounded by this issue in Pokemon, where the game crashes while you're saving. And it doesn't delete your save data, but it does, because that's stored somewhere else, but it does, like, basically, it corrupts and essentially, in practice, undownloads all of your video games. So you have to re-download them from the store, reinstall them from the cartridge.
Yeah.
And your save data should still be there, because it's apparently stored in a separate place, but it messed things up. Maybe it got fixed in a patch? I haven't heard anything about it since that first day.
Yeah.
I feel like people would still be upset about it.
Yeah, I have no idea.
But that's something that happened if you weren't aware of it. The other thing is that people, once they got the game, started data mining and are saying lots of things about models and animations and stuff. I do think, again, like, there's a lot of people saying, like, I don't think these are very high quality animations, which may be fair, but there are more animations, right? Like, there's a lot more animations in general, is my understanding.
Yeah, I mean, I do still like whenever anything does tail whip, and it just kind of, like, does a 180, and then does, like, a boop, 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 boop. Like, it doesn't actually wiggle its tail. It just, like, rotates 45 degrees either way, and then does another 180 back to as it was.
But I think that's the case for, like, most moves that are very general audience that can be applied to any Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, I think the idea is to make it clear visually that it's the same move that's being used, especially if maybe you're not super good at reading words quickly.
But, like,
like a child.
They could have also made the tail move.
To be fair,
I see that.
To be perfectly fair, this is coming from a game series where every attack animation used to be just taking the entire character model sprite, nudging it to the left for a bit, and then back into place.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if they did that for the 3D models?
I've seen some animation discussion that's talked about how, like, Pokemon has a vested interest in putting a upper limit on how realistic they make the battles look.
Yeah.
Because the more realistic they make it look, the more it looks like dogfighting.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say is, oh man, in Dragon Warrior 11, you can choose the classic camera angle or whatever, and I was just thinking about, oh man, what if they made the 3D Pokemon, but you could pick the classic camera angle of, like, being over the shoulder of the Pokemon instead of the, like, randomly rotating around the battle camera.
Do you guys want to hear my best experience with that so far?
Yes.
2 Magikarps fighting each other. It's just, it pans to both of them, and it's great.
Yeah,
it's
like,
honestly one of my favorite things.
Yeah. Oh, I read about this too. It crashes your Roku.
So John posted something in the chat about Pokemon Sword and Shield crashing your Roku device.
Yeah, like, if it's on the same network, despite being its own complete physical piece of hardware, if it's on your Wi-Fi, Pokemon Sword and Shield can crash your Roku.
Jeddy?
And that has
Hello.
since been fixed.
How?
And, like, it would lead to, like, an infinite reboot sequence or something. Now, I don't know how, but when I read this, somebody was like, man, imagine being the developer who gets to wake up and go into work and read this bug report. Like, who do you assign this to? It's not your software. It's not your hardware. How do you test this?
It's not yours.
Yeah, like,
Roku just hates Pokemon.
I mean, it is at a certain point. It has to be their software, right?
I mean,
because,
well, it's their software that's causing it, but, like, how do you test what's happening on another device?
Someone needs to buy a copy of Pokemon Sword or Pokemon Shield, and they test it.
Well, I was thinking
See what happens to their Wi-Fi.
on the Pokemon Sword and Shield side. How do they test whatever side? I guess it is technically Roku's.
Yeah, like, whose fault is it? Right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, the inclination is like, oh, what's Pokemon doing that's so weird that's breaking the Roku TV? But also, like, is there something wrong with how the Roku TV is doing stuff that it could be affected by Pokemon?
Apparently it is an issue with Roku themselves, and they're the ones fixing it.
Oh, really? Like, I only read about it, that, like, first, like, it was within the first couple days of the game coming out. So I just read the, like, this is an error. I never heard about the follow-up.
Technology's fun.
Yeah.
It's a good thing we have a whole podcast about it. Or at least some of it.
The videos game.
We've been talking about Pokemon for a long time, you guys.
Good. As it should be.
Pokemon.
So, speaking of videos and games...
Oh.
No. Just no.
There is a video of a game...
I'm on the
You dug yourself into this whole
I am
jam.
on
You
the
can
edge
take
of my
yourself
seat,
out. I'm not
yeah.
helping you.
Alright, continue the segue. We all want to hear it now.
Yeah, keep going.
Do it.
that we were playing in podcast form.
Jeddy, you used to be in charge of the podcast.
2 weeks later.
So remember that game?
No, I don't. It's been so long. I don't remember anything.
The podcast of the game that we used to play. Joe, do you remember?
So what Jeddy is trying to
There's a
segue
video of
into is the Secret of Mana RPG cast now has a video form on the GameCola YouTube channel that you can watch, and Jeddy's been working on it, and it's very good.
It's very good.
Unlike
His
his
segue was
segue
very
into
bad,
talking
and I'm
about
sorry.
it.
Personally.
Oh my god, why did that kill me so much?
Everyone seems entertained. I don't know what you're complaining about.
Jeddy, I think you need to maybe perhaps determine the difference between laughing with and laughing at.
That segue was so pitful. Oh my god.
Alright, this has become the Jeddy roast hour. Let's go.
Now it is good. It is a good video. I enjoyed watching it, and I've listened to that episode of the podcast probably 4 times by now.
Yeah, you were also there.
Yeah, I was counting that as one of the
yeah,
times.
same. I've now probably also listened to it about 4 times.
I like the ad break in the middle of
I
it,
still
too,
need
where
to
he
listen
did
to it, and this seems like the perfect opportunity to do so, right on the GameCola YouTube channel.
GCDotNet.
Like, that was
On
part of it, too.
Yeah.
That's
on
how
our
you
YouTube
segue into a plug.
channel. Yeah. Well, and also, you can now find us, the original podcast form, on Spotify and on Google Podcasts.
Wow.
What?
Only one of those was something that we did on purpose.
Yeah. So if you're like me and you hate iTunes and you refuse to install it, you now have an option to listen to the GameCola Podcast.
Congratulations. On the go. Because, I've been on this site for 6 years and have been dating my boyfriend for a few of those, and he does not listen to it regularly, and now he can.
Oh, for a second I thought you said he was like, he doesn't listen to it regularly. He listens to it in some weird way. Like
He doesn't listen to it very often.
2 minutes at a time.
Yes. 2 minutes at a time on the website, maybe.
I used to listen to all the podcasts on the website player
I did too.
before I had a smartphone.
I used to listen to it on YouTube or on iTunes on my computer.
So actually, here's a question for you, Joseph. Can you tell when people listen at like 1.5 or 2 times speed or whatever?
Like
on YouTube.
Oh, okay. No, I don't think you can.
No...
For a second, I thought you were just like in general. Like, can I feel like I sense a disturbance? Someone is listening to the podcast too fast. No, I think it still counts as full watch time.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I was curious.
I don't know. I feel like, because here's the thing. If that wasn't the case, then I think there would be more people in YouTube saying, hey, don't do this.
Don't do that.
Because they'd get less watch time, and therefore their videos would do more poorly.
Interesting.
So they'd have a vested interest in figuring this out and telling people not to do it. So I think it's the same amount of watch time.
Smash that like button, watch at normal speed, click the bell.
Yeah, they'd say something like that. And also, like, if you watched at 25% speed, would that...
I watched for 4 times as long.
Mm-hmm.
I've been watching this video for hours, and I don't understand.
See, the problem with this joke, though, is that there are some episodes of GameCola podcasts where that could be true even if you are listening on normal speed.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's a cool thing that exists now. And it'll keep going up on Mondays where we don't upload other podcasts is the current plan.
Yep. One just went up, or well, I guess when this goes out, it won't have just gone up. It was
but there'll be one that goes up probably the
next
Monday
week.
After this episode goes up.
I could have just said it that way.
You have to think of podcast time, Jeddy.
Yeah.
Another thing... Well, actually, John, you wanted to talk about PlayStation stuff, right?
Yes, ever so briefly, because it just looks so weird to me. The patent dropped for the PlayStation 5 controller, and then someone made...
Well, someone should pick it up quickly before they lose it.
And this is...
Jokes!
This is just a patent, so it's not fully reflective of the final design, but we can get an idea. And it just looks like a PS4 controller that looks like it went to the gym for 3 weeks and stopped. It looks slightly bulkier.
Now, John, I'm going to need you, since this is an audio podcast, I'm going to need you to explain in elaborate detail what this controller looks like.
Okay, so we all know what a PS4 controller looks like. Imagine that, but a slightly bulkier. That's pretty much it. It's like everyone's making a big deal about this. It's like, yeah, it looks like a PlayStation controller. Like,
it also looks rounder to me.
It does. It looks slightly rounder, but I don't know.
It's using
for some reason
more round shape language.
For some reason, the wireframe looks better than the CG render. But yeah, no, it does. If you got rid of the touchpad into it and like compressed it a little bit, like horizontally, it would look exactly like an Xbox controller. But yeah, apparently the touchpad now, like, since so many people use the touchpad on the PS4, aka nobody. The actual touchpad on the PlayStation 5 is going to be like an actual touch screen. Like, not like a...
What?
Yeah, like a friggin... I don't know, just going to be like a touch screen, like a DS or whatnot that you can...
Really?
Yeah, is this... I was going to say, is this the PlayStation DS?
I guess? I don't know. I guess it's just for menu navigation because I can't imagine...
U.
Yeah, that's the thing. This is kind of like what Nintendo did last generation.
Yeah.
Kind of.
And it seems...
It's just... I don't think it's supposed to be for games, though. I think it's just for menu navigation. For, like, a quick start option. But, like, why would you make that the controller? Like, we have, like, voice commands now and everything. Why don't you just use that? Let's give them more options and make it more confusing for the consumer. No, just give us, like, 2. That's my rant.
I guess we'll see more when it actually comes out. But yeah, I feel like it's one of those things. It's like, well, we made the touchpad. Now we got to do something with it.
True.
We can't get rid of it because then it'll be like, oh, so that was a mistake. It's not a mistake. Look, we're still using it and we're doing new things with it, guys. It was definitely a good idea. But yeah, I guess next E3 we're gonna at least see it. I would think, right?
Oh yeah, no, they're definitely at least probably a little before E3. Actually, we're gonna see it because they already announced it's coming out in holiday next year, along with the new Xbox.
And it's like, I don't know, most consoles these days, like console reveals, I feel like aren't as cool as they used to be because most consoles don't like have a distinct look anymore. They're just like black boxes, and the question is, are the edges rounded or pointy?
Did you see the PlayStation 5 dev kit that most developers got?
Yeah, no, but also dev kits always look really weird.
They do, but this one looks badass. Hang on a second, let me show you a picture.
Like, the GameCube's developer kit was just like some weird light gray rhombus.
Yeah, it looked like an actual computer. So this is reportedly what devs got. Is it just me, or does that look like a radio?
What?
Or something.
It looks like a router.
Yeah, it looks like a router, like an old radio, like on the front part. Everything else just looks weird.
If it was small, I would say it looks like the TurboGrafx. No, the PC Engine. Hold on, sorry. I also want to show you guys
the PC Engine.
Sorry. Well, here. First, I'm gonna. So before they came out with the Nintendo DS, I'm trying to remember who it was. Hold on, they probably say it over here. Yeah, the people who made Mario and Luigi Partners in Time, when they heard that the DS was going to have 2 screens, they were like, you're doing what? And they tried to make one on their own by slapping together a Super Nintendo controller simultaneously to like a Game Boy Advance and a, what is that, the SP?
The Game Boy Advance SP.
Yeah.
That looks like, that's definitely Super Nintendo. That's an SP, and that is a regular on top. What's that on the bottom below the Super Nintendo controller?
I think it's just like a thing that they slapped together to hold all this in place. I think it's just part of the bracket. But hold on, I'll show you a picture of the PC Engine. This is the PC Engine.
Oh, it does.
I don't imagine you're putting a. It's the PC Engine Mini is about the same size as the original PC Engine. It is very small, and it takes hue cards. Hold on, let me see if I can find a picture.
Yeah, just like the TurboGrafx 16.
Do you guys understand?
Japanese.
Do you understand?
Yes, Joseph. Is there a problem?
What's happening here?
So for those of you at home, look up to follow
What am I
along,
going to do?
To follow along, look up a picture of a mini TurboGrafx 16 or a mini PC Engine and compare that to the PlayStation 5 dev kit and yeah, they look similar.
There's no way this is gonna work.
I'm so sorry.
Like, it'd be one thing if there was just like one picture. But I've got like 10 pictures that I have to include in the thumbnail somehow.
Oh man. I'm so sorry.
And no one's gonna know which thing is which because half of these things are things that look similar to other things.
Guide them to our actual internet website, GameCola.net, where they can view all of the images.
And then we're just gonna upload all these images to the website? You're gonna put them in hyperlinks all over the text?
Yeah. Why wouldn't you? And all the people who are currently like in their car or like jogging or something.
Mm-hmm.
Just wait a little bit and then go home and
you
do
can
these things.
Jog home.
Jog home. Even if you're in your car, jog home.
Good. Jog home and play with your TurboGrafx 16 mini.
Pokemon Go home and look up pictures you heard about on the GameCola Podcast.
Haha, Joe, you got me good.
PlayStation 5 coming out December next year. This podcast is not sponsored in any way by Sony. So, Joe, have you been playing any video games lately?
Well, before we get to video games we've been playing in recent time, I did want to bring up one last little thing that I think, I don't want to get too deep into it because it's kind of bigger than the scope of this podcast, but people may have concerns about it just because it sort of affects us tangentially. COPPA, COPPA, is a regulation from the FTC that you may have heard about on the internet in recent times. Or if you've been on the GameCola YouTube channel. Essentially, YouTube put out a thing that said, hey, if your videos are made for kids, you need to mark them as made for kids. And then if you do that, you basically won't get ad revenue. Their videos won't get shared. No one will be able to comment on them. They're basically almost gone from the internet in every sense of the word except for the literal video link. And everyone was like, okay, what does made for kids mean? And YouTube was like, here's a website that says what it is. And then the website says, if someone in your video says cool, it might be made for kids.
If it has bright colors.
If that was the other one. If it has bright colors, it might be made for kids. And everyone was like, well, now wait a second. That could apply to many things.
Yeah.
And also, with us, video games, children do play video games. Yeah. So it was kind of a concern. So here's the full story, right? In 1998, I think it was, COPPA was made. It was basically a Children's Privacy Act. It was like, hey, you can't ask kids for their name, email address, phone number, stuff. And if you figure out that you have that information from kids, you need to delete it. And you can't collect it in the first place. And that's why, all the websites suddenly said, hey, you have to be 13 years or older to use this website.
Yeah, I remember that because I was 12 when that happened. There were so many websites that I was like, oh no, are they going to find out that I'm 12?
Yep.
I think on GameCola website, we're covered by the fact that I think you have to be 13 to get an account that you can use to make comments through the WordPress app that we use.
Probably.
And also, we don't ask for personal information.
Yeah.
So, but later in 2013, this law from it's law/regulation from the FTC in America, the Federal Trade Commission, if you're curious, said, okay, by personal information, we're also going to include personalized tracking data, like what is commonly referred to as cookies.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the more legal speak, you'll hear them as something like permanent or prolonged identifiers or something like that. Basically, the stuff that YouTube uses to give people targeted ads and video recommendations and stuff. You can't collect data on kids for that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's tracking their actions, which in a way is personal information.
YouTube and Google, by extension, basically ignored this up until 2018, early 2019, and said oh yeah, you have to be 13 years or older to use the website. That's the rule. But then also first of all, kids can break that rule, which is something that's easy. Sort of expected and is sort of accounted for in the legal speak of it. But the problem was that YouTube was specifically it wasn't oh, well, these people, some people are kids pretending to be 13. So who can really say who's a child and who's an adult using our service? They might be lying. But then it's you look at YouTube and you're like, no, you very clearly understand not just that there are children here, but you are putting up tools specifically to direct children to specific content and giving them specific advertising. It's very clear that you figured out which of these people are kids because you're advertising to them as children. And so FTC was okay, no, you can't do that anymore. And then YouTube was all right, well, we'll pay the fine, the $1 million or whatever fine, because you made us, and we'll put it in a system. We'll put in a system to make things better. And their system was, hey, you guys, the people making the videos, if they're for kids, you have to say it is. And if you don't do it, you break the law, not us. It's not our fault. You broke the law by making a video for kids and not marking it for kids. And everyone was like, hey, YouTube, we don't have legal teams. I'm a guy in like a second level apartment, just like hanging out. I don't have a legal team.
Yeah.
So like, I can't, this is beyond the scope of something we can handle. And YouTube's like, well, if you don't comply, you might get fined by the FTC. So you might as well just do it, you know? Just mark your video as made for kids, you know, just to be safe. Who cares if you don't get any more ad revenue or no more comments? Which is the main thing I would be concerned personally is losing comments on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're not a business.
No.
GameCola operates at a loss.
Yeah.
We are a non-profit organization. We do this for fun.
We are a negative profit organization. But I wouldn't want to lose all those comments. So I marked our channel as not made for kids. But like, it's kind of a mess, and there's been developments about it, and I think honestly, like, we don't have to worry about it. I don't think we're big enough that we'd really be on the radar. And that's what, like, the FTC has added some additional stuff, some additional statements that have been like, hey, we're really trying to just crack down on this specific issue. And it seemed, they didn't say this, but it seems like YouTube has sort of overblown this, because here's the thing. If you mark your video as made for kids, YouTube doesn't have to check if your video is made for kids, right? As to comply with this regulation, right?
No, they don't.
So it's easier on them if people play it safe and mark their videos made for kids. Even though, like, there is stuff about general audiences in COPPA. Like, so if kids are like a secondary, like, demographic, but not necessarily a target audience, like, you should be fine, is the understanding. But I would still say that even in the current text of the regulation, I think it needs to be more specific, because it's very vague. And it still basically gives the FTC to say almost anything that they could want to take down and fine someone for. They could do it. There's so much wiggle room in their definitions of what is could potentially be for kids, in quotes, that needs to be hammered down. And there's public comments that you can make. I think they'll still be open even when this podcast goes out. Yes, so when this podcast goes up, they'll be open until Saturday. You can make a comment if you want to do some research and leave stuff. Again, it's about privacy. One of the biggest things that I've seen people get confused about is that this isn't about, like, keeping kids from seeing content that is, like, too mature for them. It's not about that. It's about, like, advertising cookies and children's privacy, not about, like, content rating, if that makes sense. That's a common confusion. But GameCola should be fine. We're keeping tabs on it. I would be wary of looking at it too much on YouTube. There's a lot of fear-mongering going on. I think the initial concern was valid and, like, good resources were out there. And now everyone sort of jumped on it as, like, COPPA is going to kill you. Watch my video so you figure out how not to die. There's a lot of that. I would not worry about that. If you want to come on the Discord, we've actually been talking about it a lot on the Discord. Yeah. Diana's been offering her legal perspective, which is very nice. Apparently that's one of the things I wanted to bring up, the fear mongering, because Diana has gotten a lot of traffic to her being like, hey, is COPPA going to kill me? And Diana's like, no, probably not. It's probably going to change after the comments close. So the short message is don't message Diana about this. You can message her about other things. She'd love to talk to people about Ace Attorney, I imagine. Yeah. That's on her brand. If you want to talk about it on the Discord, that's fine too. It is interesting. But I just wanted to talk about it a bit because it's sort of relevant. You've probably heard things about it, and you may be interested to know how it's affecting GameCola. And the short answer is we're keeping tabs on it, but I think we'll be fine.
I hope so. I don't have $42,000.
That's the maximum fine.
I remember, like, when they first started talking about it, that somebody said it was, like, the minimum fine. It's like, I hope not.
Yeah, that's definitely not true.
Like, yeah, $42,000 per video or whatever.
That's like, fine. I saw someone do a calculation, and it was like, for that amount of money, like, it was probably a state law, but it was like 4 times the fine for, like, a hit and run. But I think the idea is that would be something that you would do to a company, a business that is like specifically using YouTube as a platform to market to children and taking advantage of YouTube's analytics to market to children. Like even in one of their things that the FTC brought up was like, you know, you can check your analytics and see like who's watching your videos, what age groups. And we're big in like 18 to 40. Those encapsulate two different buckets in analytics, but
that's where
that's our main range. We'll get some teenagers every once in a while, at least that are logged in as teenagers. But like a lot fewer compared to our bulk numbers, and I would imagine that I don't think we have anybody. Here's the thing. I don't think we have anybody under the age of 12.
I sincerely doubt it.
And that should continue to be the case.
Yeah.
I was 11 when
and
I
that's
found
how I'm
GameCola.
going to phrase that statement.
If you're under the age of 12, turn off this podcast immediately. Go to sleep.
If you're under the age of 12, you're not listening to this podcast. What are you talking about? Don't worry about it. 12-year-olds don't exist.
Yeah.
Nah.
Get out.
You don't exist. What are you doing here?
Granted, I was 11 when I found GameCola.
To be fair, there's this part of me that wishes that Joseph at 12 years old could be like deleted from history.
Same. That's a move. Anything pre 20.
Can I clear my middle school life browser history? Can I do that? Is that a thing you could do in real life?
Fun fact, Facebook lets you look at things you've posted as a child.
No.
It's a lot of song lyrics.
Facebook shows you things that you've posted as a child.
Yeah.
There are times when I think back on something really stupid I did, and I'm like, well, I guess it's fine. I was young. And then I'm like, I was like 25.
Oh, jeez. No.
I was definitely old enough to have known better. Why? Nope.
Oof.
Well, luckily I haven't done anything that I've regretted as a 25-year-old yet.
You're sure about that?
You still have time.
I still have 2 years.
Time to endlessly stalk Joe's Facebook.
I have 6.
Oh, God.
Yeah, good luck finding Joseph Martin on Facebook.
No,
Facebook. Anyway, social media is a curse.
Actually, you could probably find it in the GameCola Facebook because I do like posts. But I think my stuff is all private.
I like Joseph Martin. 7 mutual friends.
Hey, what video? Not you, John. I was talking about like other people that aren't on the GameCola staff. Hey, what video games have you been playing in recent times that aren't Pokemon? Anna, you had some stuff that you wanted to mention.
This past weekend, we went to visit some friends in our college town, and we went to the Exchange, which is a chain of stores, I think mostly in Ohio and Pennsylvania. That's...
And RuneScape.
Really?
That's so
good.
Right.
Do they have old video games? It's kind of just a secondhand video game, record, DVD, vinyl stuff store, and
sounds a lot like RuneScape too.
But we went to the Exchange, and our one friend was looking through all the DS games because they had just a box of DS and 3DS games, and he was...
Oh, were they like loose?
Yeah, they were loose.
Oh, that's the best.
And I was kind of looking over his shoulder for a second to see what if he'd found anything, and I saw Silly Bandz.
Oh yeah, you were talking
game.
about this earlier.
Not actual physical Silly Bandz. A video game.
An actual video game. And I'm like, oh god, I need it. Do you want to know how much it cost? $1. That is when I knew I was going to get a prime experience with this game.
How much does the actual physical plastic of a DS cartridge cost?
75 cents.
Probably not $1. But
some significant fraction of $1, I would think.
Yeah.
I'm sure the metal inside is worth more.
I ended up buying Silly Bandz, the game, 2 American Girl games, because one of them I remember my sister having, and I really liked American Girl as a kid. And then 2 Imagine games, which I also liked a lot as a kid. So I haven't played the other 4 yet, but I will eventually. I got them all for very cheap, very loose amongst a pile of absolute treasures, like another Silly Bandz game. And it...
Silly Bandz, play the crane.
I would just like to say, this game came out in 2010. Do you want to know what else was real popular in 2010?
Kirby's Epic Yarn?
Angry Birds. Do you want to know what this game is?
Oh,
It's Angry Birds. This game is Angry Birds.
Oh, come on.
Granted, I've only played the first few levels. I'm not sure if anything changes, but it is just Silly Bandz.
What?
It's just Silly Bandz.
Is this?
Yeah. Silly Bandz as Angry Birds.
Wow.
You couldn't make a platforming game out of this of changing into a bunch of different shapes? Get out of here. Come on, they're so easy.
They did this. They did this.
So.
But yeah, that was something I played. I didn't play it for very long because I plan on playing it more. Maybe another time, but not now. But I've also been playing Pokémon Sword, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else I've been playing.
This just, while you're thinking, this reminds me a lot of the Line Rider DS game that I don't even know how I ended up with it. I think it was a similar situation. I don't think I dug it out in like a box of video games. I think it was one of those things where like someone was giving away a bunch of old video games at some sort of thing, and I found that, and it was like free. But there's a review of it on the GameCola internet website. I did a review of Line Rider for the DS. It was one of my, I think, earlier review. It was before I did the podcast.
Yeah, I remember.
It was an interesting time. I think its only redeeming quality is that it had one good song on the soundtrack.
But yeah, Silly Bandz, the game, it is definitely priced correctly from that exchange store. Can't wait to play the other games.
I'm legit offended that it's just an Angry Birds clone. I'm mad.
Yeah,
I am mad.
It started, and none of us knew what to expect. And so when I started playing it and it was just Angry Birds, I got real upset.
Jesus. Even as, like, a kid going to buy that game, like, I can't imagine anyone wanting the game to begin with, but a kid with, like, oh yeah, I like this. Oh, I wonder what this is. And they just find out it's Angry Birds that they can play on their phone right now. How upset do you think they would be?
They're probably fine with it because kids are pretty chill. Sometimes.
I don't know. I feel like there would be like some form of disappointment there.
Also, did this game actually come with Silly Bandz? Yeah. So they were pretty excited about those Silly Bandz that they just got. I would have been. I love Silly Bandz when I was 14.
Exclusive Silly Bandz is what it says.
I was a freshman in high school when Silly Bandz came out, and I loved them.
I must have been, if you were a freshman in high school, then I would have been in 8th grade. I don't know. I definitely remember them being a thing. It wasn't something that I was into because I was in 8th grade and therefore too cool for anything except Minecraft.
I was beginning a new school. I was ready to invent myself as someone who likes Silly Bandz.
And then they faded out the next year.
They actually, yeah, immediately they were gone.
Dun, 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 dun.
John, what have you been playing in recent times?
Oh, geez. Well, I too went to a mom and pop game store in the LA area. There's only like 2, like in all of LA, which is shocking to me. But I picked up Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks and Mega Man Legacy Collection 2. Me and my roommate wanted to play Shaolin Monks for so long, so we played that in first. But I have a 360, but like an old launch 360, and this game was on the original Xbox. I was like, oh, it should be backwards compatible. It's fine. It was popular when it came out. Nope. Does not work at all. And I'm like, crap, well, what am I going to do? I was like, so I just put the game on the shelf. I was like, I'll probably end up playing it sometime in the future. So now it's just going to collect dust. Mega Man's fun. Super fun.
So that one has 7 through 10,
7
right?
through 10, yes.
Does it have any others on it?
Nope. That is it, and also has some like a boss rush mode and some challenges and whatnot. Good old achievements, music collection, artwork collection, good stuff. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
I never played Mega Man. Actually, I think the first Mega Man game I ever played was Mega Man 8 at my cousin's house when I was like 9 years old or something like that.
What a start!
I remember liking it. It was a lot of fun. Super hard though.
Yeah, it's my impression is that it's very enjoyable if you hadn't played any of the other Mega Man games.
Oh, ouch. I mean, I played it again recently. I was like, oh, I haven't played this in so long. And I was like, yeah, it's so fun. It's like, it is definitely the best looking Mega Man game. That's for damn sure.
Well, I mean, yes, it has the highest graphical fidelity.
I know, but like the animations though, they're so fluid. Like, and they're all hand drawn too. The amount of work going into each of the sprite animations must have taken so long for them. It is so fluid.
The visual style is good. But you said animation, and I was like, I don't. That's not the animation that most people think about when they hear Mega Man 8.
No, I'm like the actual animation, the actual movement of them. It's fluid. It's smooth as hell, and it looks like 60 frames per second at least. So but I can't imagine like.
What about Mega Man the anime? These
the Mega Manime, if you will,
seem to be energy resources, but I've never seen this type on Earth. You must retrieve the meteor immediately, Mega Man.
I've never watched the show, so these references are going.
No, that's in the actual video game Mega Man 8, John.
Oh wait, yeah, you're right. That was the opening cutscene.
All the cutscenes are like that.
Oh my god. Yeah, no.
There's one cutscene where Mega Man just yells high-pitched for like 2 minutes.
Wait, what? Well, I haven't gotten...
And the other thing about Mega Man 8 is that the levels are like way too long. Like there's 4 parts to them.
Oh, really?
The levels are really long, and they're not fun enough to justify it. Every stage has like a comprehensive gimmick. And it's really make or break if the gimmick is good, right? Like, if the gimmick is bad, you're stuck with it for a really long stage. So, like, Frostman? Anyone? Jump, slide.
Oh my god, that was so annoying. I got through that stage.
That's terrible. And then, the first thing you do in the castle stage, jump, slide.
Oh!
Hope you liked it. That's the one we decided to bring back immediately. And then, like, the maze one is, like, fine, but not that fun. Those are really... I haven't played it in a really long time. It also does the thing where it divides it into 4 and 4 instead of all 8 at the same time, which I don't like.
Yeah, I noticed that.
That severely reduces the replayability. So, there are lots of things that I don't like about Mega Man 8, having played all of the Mega Mans. So,
I can't wait to play 9, though. I've heard so many great things about that.
Yeah, 9 is good. Especially if you like Mega Man 2. Mega Man 9 is really Mega Man 2, too.
Oh, yeah, because it takes away the charge shot and the sliding, right? Yeah.
Right. That's another point. But it does, I don't really like that by itself, but, like, it works with what it has well. For what it's trying to be, it's good. And it's enjoyable. I still prefer gameplay in general with the charge shot and the slide. I think it gives you more options and more tools to have fun. But... yeah, so is that the end of your section?
Yeah, sure.
Jeddy, what video games have you been playing in recent times aside from Pokemon?
So I haven't really been playing Pokemon Sword and Shield, but Christina has. Although I was just realizing we recorded the last podcast before the end of October, right? In theory.
Yes.
So we completely missed Luigi's Mansion 3.
I mentioned it at the beginning. Have you played it?
A little bit. Again,
okay,
Christina primarily played it.
Right.
I guess it's funny because, like, it's a fun game and whatever, but, like, it kind of quickly becomes just, like, the same stuff over and over again. And also, the concept of releasing a game that's, like, based on, like, it's for Halloween and they release it on Halloween. So then you're stuck playing it after Halloween. Mm-hmm. Just release it at the beginning of October. Like, then you have
no one buys video games at the beginning of October.
Why not?
I don't know.
Why would you buy it on a Halloween then?
Because people buy video games in the early November to late December season, and that's why it was really early November to early December is when all the new video games come out.
I don't know, it just seems weird that, like, you would release...
Maybe you can get
like,
a little bit of late October in there.
Because, like, unless you're one of those people that's like, well, yesterday was Halloween, 364 more days of this new Halloween season. Unless you're one of those people, then, like, for the rest of the country or the world or whatever, Halloween is one of those ones that's just like, it was there, now it's gone. So why would you continue playing, like, whoa, a spooky game into spooky November, you know? That was all I had to say.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for you, Jeddy. I'm sorry. I've been playing while in the lead up to purchasing, because I was sick when I was gonna go purchase Pokemon, and I didn't want to leave the house because my bones were in pain. So while I was taking short reprieves from sitting in a bathtub trying to keep my body from being in pain, I played Mario Maker 2, because every once in a while I'll be like, man, I wonder what video game I should play, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, I have Infinite Mario. And then the same thing, the next thought that I have after playing this Infinite Mario is, man, most people are very bad at making Mario levels.
I was about to ask, what is the worst Mario Maker level you've played?
Oh man, there's so many bad ones, John. There's so many bad ones. Okay, here's the thing. So I play, there's endless mode, right? Where it'll just feed you levels of a certain difficulty. And I play on expert, because normal is too easy for me. So expert is kind of where I have to sit. Super expert is way too hard for me. I think I've gotten 2 in a row at most. Expert, I think my record is 11 in a row with 15 lives. So here's the mistakes that people make. Number 1, it's a good level with a decent challenge, but it's super long and there's no checkpoints. And another category of this is like, it's not necessarily long in terms of physical length, but like, it's something where there's a lot of waiting around to get to the hard part. And so, like, every time you die, you have to spend, like, a minute on, like, slow-moving platforms before you can get to the actual difficult part. And it's just a pain. Sometimes there's people just, like, this would be a cool level if you didn't use the weird level theme where it's upside down or there's no light.
Oh, jeez.
Or where the ground is ice and it's just, like, okay, this is just, like, this isn't hard because you made a hard level. It's hard because you chose the option that makes the controls bad. So... But there are some good ones in there, and you'll get some good challenges in there too, and some creative stuff. The problem with doing the popular ones, like if you go into the course, like world, like search thing, is that you get an opportunity to heart the level, to like the level, when you beat it. So the levels that have a lot of hearts are overwhelmingly easy levels. You can still heart it from like the pause menu, but you have to like really make a conscious decision to do it. So there's this huge weighting to levels that are really easy. So like even the popular stuff, it's usually like interesting, but not super fun because it's just so easy a lot of the time. I did play a while back. I don't know if I talked about this. I was doing the multiplayer versus. Did I talk about this on the podcast? Do you remember, guys? Mario Maker multiplayer versus?
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
In any case, I'm at rank B on it, which I think is satisfying amount. The problem with that is just that like there's too many situations where like one person can just like if you need like sometimes you need a key to go through a door, right? And there's certain situations where a person can just like get a key and then hide somewhere where it is physically impossible to steal the key from them, and then they just wait there, and it's like, well, now we just gotta wait for the level timer to go out, because I'm not gonna quit because that'll give the person the win, and I don't want to reward this behavior.
Yeah.
So then you have to wait the whole time just to, if they're gonna be a butt about it, then they're gonna have to pay the price for it. If they want to try to wait out the clock, then they have to waste the same amount of time that I'm wasting.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna give them points for this. So there's just too many situations where that can happen. And there's a lot of things where it's like there's the clear conditions, but then you can steal the clear condition. So, like, there's a lot of situations where the best thing to do is to, like, let someone else do all the work and then steal the win from them. And it's, like, it's hard to be mad because, like, that is the best strategy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so I stopped playing that after I got to B. I was like, I'm satisfied with the B rank. This isn't that fun, especially now that people are good. So That's right. And I'm gonna play Pokemon and Luigi's Mansion probably before this podcast goes up. It's Thanksgiving break. But that's where I'm at right now. I think with that, we're getting kind of long, though I don't know how much of this podcast has been cut, because there is a lot of stuff that will at least be placed upon the chopping block for analysis. Maybe or maybe not get chopped on it, but we'll see. But thank you for listening to this edition of the GameCola Podcast. If you like what you heard, be sure to check out our actual internet website, GameCola.net, YouTube channel, GC.net, the letter G, the letter C, the word dot, and the word net, where you can find the video that we talked about with Secret of Mana RPG Cast, along with all of our other videos like Danganronpa 2, with John on it, and James, who isn't on this podcast, but you've probably heard him before if you've been... What?
Danganronpa.
Oh, I thought you were correcting my pronunciation.
No, that's James's job.
Dang it, Ronpa.
Dang it,
That's
Ron
what I
Paul.
like to say. There's also Twitter. Oh, yeah, sorry, Anna. What about social media?
We're on Twitter and Facebook. We also have a Discord where you can talk to us about COPPA.
I never heard of Discord before.
And apparently other things. But you can find
a free chat
you can find our Discord link in our Twitter description. We are GameCola on Facebook and at GameCola on Twitter.
Discord is a free chat thingy where you can come and talk to us in the chat. It's like IRC, but for Zoomers.
It's like the little chat window that was on GameCola in the year 2013.
Man, that was a good time. Never forget.
The good old days. Also,
except with way less people like changing their names and pretending to be different people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There must have been one time where I like pretended to be someone else on the GameCola staff.
God, I wouldn't be surprised.
And I tried to see how long I could pull it off.
Yeah.
I think I did something.
Because you could just set your name to whatever.
I think I did something like that once too.
But yeah, so, and you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, probably wherever you listen to podcasts. Someone's picked up our RSS feed and put it in their catalog. So you can find us there. You can find the GameCola Podcast at GCPC, Hacks and Slash, our video game fanfiction podcast, which just finished its second season with, we did 2 parts of the Subspace Emissaries World's Conquest, so we've completed up to Chapter 3 now. But there's also all the other 19 episodes of the show that you can listen to, and there's also the RPG cast, like the Secret of Mana RPG cast, along with Final Fantasy Crystallis Made, which I've listened all the way through, and it is as much of a disaster as I remember.
Yes.
Nancy Drew.
The Nancy Drew ones, those are fun. I still will always say that my favorite one so far, no offense to you, Jay, but my favorite RPG cast is still the one where it was Paul and Michael Ridgway vying for Nathaniel Hoover's
that was funny.
So yeah, if you have questions that you want to ask the podcast, you can ask us on Twitter, you can ask us on Facebook, you can ask us on Discord, you can email us podcast@gamecola.net. If you go on iTunes, rate us 5 stars and leave a review. I've appreciated the stars and reviews that have been left by our loyal fans. I thank you very much. I do check those, and they mean a lot to me personally. And I think that's everything, unless I missed something.
I don't know if you can rate on Spotify or Google Podcast or whatever.
But if you can.
Yeah, give it a shot.
You can subscribe on Spotify. I know we get that number.
Like and subscribe.
I don't know if we get subscription numbers for Apple Podcasts. You'd think we would.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Apple doesn't give any sort of... Like, Spotify gives us real statistics about listening. Apple doesn't give you anything.
So if you want to be counted in the GameCola census, listen on Spotify or YouTube. I get those numbers too. You can listen wherever you want, wherever's most convenient. It's just funny that Apple Podcasts has such terrible analytics.
Listen on your smart toaster.
You can do that, probably. We live in the future.
Definitely.
Here we are in the future, and it's bright.
Man, the future is so cool.
Have your Google/Amazon Alexa speak the podcast to you.
Alexa.
Guys, I'm dying. We need to end the podcast.
Okay, Google. Play the GameCola Podcast.
End the GameCola Podcast.
Yes.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful time of day, wherever it is, whenever it is you're listening to this podcast, and we will see you later. Why are you saying bye? I'm not done.
You cut out.
You keep cutting out.
Yeah.
We didn't know.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Put in
Oh,
the AOL goodbye.
rest in peace, Joe. I'm so sorry.
Goodbye.
That was about. Are you okay, Anna?
We're good. I'm sorry.
Is Zelda trying to stop you from? Doing
No
the
one is in this
podcast?
room. It is all myself. I am sabotaging this podcast myself.
See, you could have made a cool story out of that, of saying how you're trying to fend off a cat.
It's usually
would've
that's
believed
usually
you.
the story.
I would have believed that it was your cat if you had told me.
Yeah, no, I understand, but I'm an honest, good person.
Well, stop it.
Never.